started to tell you, let's see who the false prophet is and the Antichrist. Now, I mean, I'm going to tell you what I think Scripture's telling us, but I started to give you names just to see if you'd show up. Extra people. It's like, is the Antichrist Bill Gates? All right. I'm just kidding about that. I mean, kind of. But, or is the Antichrist, to make sure I get both sides, Donald Trump, all right? Because some people believe that. I don't believe either of those, by the way. I don't believe either of those. But you've heard that. If you have done any kind of talk about Revelation, this is where people love to go. They love to start, with that war in heaven with the dragon, and they love to talk about the Antichrist and the kingdoms and who the kingdoms are and how that's figured out. Most people don't want to go to the letters, which are the best part of Revelation, the letters of the churches, are the part where we can get a lot of meat. They want to come straight to this prophecy and try to figure it out. And they try to put all this stuff together, and they go, I think I got it figured out. I think the Antichrist is definitely, it was definitely Jimmy Carter or Ronald Reagan, or it's definitely Saddam Hussein. And some people even say it's got to come from Europe, the European Union, and that's where the 10 comes from. But we'll get into it tonight. But I know it stirs people's interest. But I told you last week, I believe, or maybe 2 weeks ago, the young man that was asking where my stance is on all this. And this is, again, where I'm at and where I've been pretty consistently the whole time. There are some parts of this that I do believe are 100% literal, especially the letters of the churches. John really wasn't sugarcoating anything there. He spelled it out for them and told them, he just put it in terms they understood, like hot and cold for Laodicea and things like that. Then there are some things that are definitely symbolic and, maybe even written in code, as some people say. You have to remember that when this was written, probably 95 AD, and there was heavy persecution going on in Rome there, John was writing probably about a lot of the stuff that's going on then, because he's writing to a church. He's writing specifically to these churches. And he wouldn't write to these churches and go, hey, this is what's going to happen thousands of years from now. He's writing to them for what's going on now. And that doesn't mean that it's not going to take place in the future, some of it, but some of it's not. And so we have to be careful sometimes of assigning, this is so literal. And so let's dive into it, and we'll look at it. And I saw a beast rising out of the sea. I do this all the time. I say a verse, and then I'm like, I forgot to do a little bit more intro. If you back up, remember the sevens that they come out in the seven bowls and the seven wraths, and they're unleashed. And then when we did that last week, we got the woman and the dragon and the fight in heaven. So all this is a part of that. Remember, this is a part of the 7 years of the tribulation that's going on. And the pre-rapture, or the rapture people, the premillennial, pre-trib, they believe Christians are gone at this point. Believers are gone. They've been raptured out during this. Other people don't. I don't necessarily believe that we will be raptured out of the tribulation, but this is that 7-year period that's going on here, and it's very specific. And I saw a beast rising out of the sea with 10 horns and 7 heads, and with 10 diadems on its horns and blasphemous names on its head. Now, a lot going on here already, and I put it in your notes. If you go way back to early commentators, a lot of them really believe, and a couple of the ones that I even read this week believe it, that when it talks about the sea, it's referring to Gentiles, and when it talked about the land, it'd be talking about Israel, because the sea was kind of bad, and that's where the storms came from. That's what people feared. And it's just really not a lot of evidence for that based on the academic scholars that I read, and really on my own reading. It's like I don't see a lot of that. I'm not saying it's wrong, but so that's what's going on here. Now, in order to get a full understanding of this, we're going to have to go to Daniel 7 here in just a minute. So fish, just have that on the quick. And the beast that I saw was like a leopard. Its feet were like a bear's, and its mouth was like a lion's mouth. Remember, it's like a. Doesn't mean they are. It just means that's what John saw. Man, it looks like that. You know, we can go outside and look at a cloud, and you might see a dog, and I might see a lion, but like, that looks like a lion. You're like, that looks like a dog. This is a vision, so it's not literal. It's that they look like this. On one of its heads, I'm sorry, let me back up. And to it, the dragon gave his power and his throne and great authority. We established last week that the dragon was Satan, all right, because it says it. And so Satan gives this beast its authority. One of its heads seemed to have a mortal wound, but its mortal wound was healed, and the whole earth marveled as they followed the beast. And they worshiped the dragon, for he had given his authority to the beast. And they worshiped the beast, saying, who is like the beast, and who can fight against it? And the beast was given a mouth uttering haughty and blasphemous words, for it, and it was allowed to exercise authority for 42 months. That's half of the tribulation time. It opened its mouth to utter blasphemies against God, blaspheming his name, and dwelling, that is, those who dwell in heaven. Also, it was allowed to make war on the saints and to conquer them. And authority was given it over every tribe and people and language and nation, and all who dwell on earth will worship it, everyone whose name has not been written before the foundation of the world in the book of life of the Lamb who was slain. If anyone has an ear, let him hear. If anyone is to be taken captive, to captivity he goes. If anyone is to be slain with the sword he must be slain. Here is a call for the endurance and faith of the saints. All right, now let's take a brief break on Revelation. Fish, if you'll put up Daniel 7. And I forgot to earmark it in my own Bible there, so let me get there. If I don't find it quickly, I'll just go with Catfishes up there. So in the first year of Belshazzar, king of Babylon, Daniel saw a dream in the visions of his head, and he lay on his bed. Then he wrote down the dream and told the sum of the matter. Daniel declared, I saw in my vision by night, and behold, the four winds of heaven were stirring up the great sea, and four great beasts come out of the sea, different from one another. The first was like a lion and had eagle's wings. Then as I looked, its wings were plucked off, and it was lifted up from the ground and made to stand on 2 feet like a man. And the mind of a man was given to it. And behold, another beast, a second one like a bear. It was raised up on one side, had 3 ribs in its mouth between its teeth, and it was told, arise, devour much flesh. After this I looked, and behold, another like a leopard with 4 wings of a bird on its back. And the beast had 4 heads, and dominion was given it. Now pause right there real quick. These same thing that was in Revelation, their order is reversed, and it was like a bear and like a lion. After this I saw in the night visions, and behold, a 4th beast, terrifying and dreadful and exceedingly strong. It had great iron teeth. It devoured and broke in pieces and stamped what was left with its feet. It was different from all other beasts that were before it. So here we go. It had 10 horns. I considered the horns, and behold, there came up among them another horn, a little one. This is the only difference in the Revelation one, before which 3 of the first horns were plucked up by its roots. And behold, in the horn were eyes like the eyes of a man, and a mouth speaking great things. So I'm trying to think if I can just kind of, well, let's go to Fish, skip to 15 there. As for me, Daniel, my spirit within me was anxious, and the visions of my head alarmed me. I approached one of those who stood there and asked him the truth concerning all this. So he told me and made known to me the interpretation of the things. These 4 great beasts are 4 kings who shall arise out of the earth. But the saints of the Most High shall receive the kingdom and possess the kingdom forever and ever. Amen. So then skip down to 23. Because this is the 4th beast is the one that parallels the one in Revelation. Thus he said, as for the 4th beast, there shall be a 4th kingdom on earth, which shall be different from all kingdoms, and it shall devour the whole earth and trample it down and break it to pieces. As for the 10 horns, out of this kingdom 10 kings shall arise, and another shall rise after them. He shall be different from the former ones, and shall put down 3 kings. He shall speak words against the Most High, and shall wear out the saints of the Most High, and shall think to change the times and the law. And they shall be given into his hand for times and a half, which is the same time that we have there in Revelation. So this 4th beast in Daniel is like the one that comes up here. And it said this beast would have power over all the earth. Now, here's where we can go with this one, or where a lot of people have went with this one, and it is this, that they believe it was Rome. When you look at it, John was writing, about Rome, the 10, the 10 or the 10 emperors. Some people divide and choose that a little bit different. And the 7 heads there you see, I think I wrote that down, are sometimes believed to be Egypt, Assyria, the Persian Empire, Greece, Rome, and the last empire. Now, some think that Rome itself are the injured head and that it will come back and be the last empire. And so there are people that read into this. Now, there's some difficulty with this, as I put there on your notes, with this interpretation. This is the more historical, almost completely preterist view of this, that it comes from Rome. Now, let's go back and kind of look real quick on what we know. There's a beast. We know that, and we know that, it's got these things that it looks like. And we know he gets his power from the dragon, which is the devil, Satan himself. And it says they worship the dragon, for he had given his authority to the beast, and they worshiped the beast. And the beast was given these blasphemous words, and it was allowed to make war on the saints. And so here's where I'm at personally with this, and you can disagree with me. And if I were joking, I'd say you could be wrong. You may be right. This is just where I'm at. I'm certainly not dogmatic on this. I don't believe that this beast, or even the next one we're going to look at here in a minute, are humans. I don't believe it was Adolf Hitler, Joseph Stalin, or anybody like that. I believe it is spiritual. I believe it is offspring of Satan,